Hello and welcome back to Altcoin Buzz. It's me, Jimbo. In today's video, mindless shilling at its best here from Donald J. Trump. We're going to take a look at this tweet here. We're going to take a look at the DJI chart and see if we can determine what might happen on Monday when it reopens after a serious week of volatility. Of course, we will be checking out Bitcoin, and here you can see our weekly time frame. I started with the weekly time frame today because I think it's really pertinent and useful to see how our trend lines look on the wider time frames, because it gives you a better idea of why we've got these trend lines in place. Because when we go down to the lower time frames, it's not so clear to how these play out, but you can see quite clearly here on the weekly chart where we've got our touches of contact for the support and resistance, and we'll dive into the lower time frames and see how Bitcoin's playing out. I'm going to cautiously try to determine where Bitcoin's going to move next. What I will add to that statement is, though, although I'm a strong believer in technical analysis, in times of such market uncertainty, nothing is clear as day. If you'd like a chance to win a CryptoTag Zeus starter kit, all you have to do is be subscribed to the channel and leave a comment down below. You will be entered into the competition, and that will be drawn next Saturday. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to leave a comment. That's how all you have to do to enter. Now, one thing I would like to start with today is the Trump tweet. So here it is. Donald J. Trump, biggest stock market rise in history yesterday. And you can see we've got a reply here from Nick Jack Pappas. The day before was the worst day for Wall Street since Black Friday in 1987. 2 days last week, the market shut off because of historic drops. This is like cheering one winning hand when you've already lost most of your chips. And, well, Nick, I couldn't agree with you more. It's been a horrendous week for the stock market, and it was unusual. You know, it's Trump's come out and made a statement about DJI and the stock market's pumping yesterday, but we all know that that was an injection of cash from the Federal Reserve, and that's what's got the pump going. What I do want to highlight to you is here on the chart. I'm just going to open the DJI. Now, if you watched the video on Wednesday, you'll know that I put a couple of support lines in that I thought was worth paying attention to. And I just want to quickly go over those and see how they've played out. So let's get our one-day chart open. And here you can see we have our pre-existing support lines that were in place on Wednesday, and as I said to you, I'd be looking for these to hold, and if they didn't, it was going to be a little bit grim. So what happened? We found support on the first support line, opened, smashed through it, absolutely smashed through it on Thursday, and we did have a recovery closed position here on Friday. So you can see this where this green mark is here at the 23,185 level. This is where the stock market closed on Friday after that big recovery pump that Trump is discussing. But when you look at the perspective, it really puts that tweet. Into perspective, doesn't it? Yes, it was a very bullish day. Not very bullish. Sorry, price action wise, it was a very bullish day. But when you look at this chart, you struggle to find any reason to be particularly bullish. What I thought was particularly interesting is just how this played out across these support lines that we had drawn in. And you guys are going to see what I mean here as we zoom down into the 4-hour chart. Now look at that. Look at how these lines have played out. Once we closed above this one just briefly, and as it opened up, it plummeted. I believe the circuit breakers were on here. 2 days the circuit breakers were on, and that's to try and protect the markets from crashing too much, basically, is why they do that. But as you can see, it really didn't help too much. We had still continued to crash, and then yesterday, after the news of the Federal Reserve injection, you can see that there was a recovery off this bottom support line. The question that I've got to pose to you is, do you think this is going to break up through this now resistance line? If we zoom out a little bit, we can see the significance of this resistance ahead. there was so many contact points with this area previously, back in back in 2007, 2018. So many contact points here. We really need to get back above this level for the DJI to even remotely look back on track for me. So although Trump's come out and made this tweet about the massive stock market rise, you know, he might not be incorrect, but at the same time, it's hard to look at this and be really bullish. In my personal opinion, and remember, everything I say on here is just personal opinion, but in my personal opinion, I really think it's likely that we see a rejection from this resistance line, unless we see some really strong news come in over the next day or so regards to the virus situation, some sort of really positive response that could, you know, again, that could have an impact, and you might see some investor confidence return. But right now, confidence is right down at its very bottom. And that's reflected in Bitcoin as well. We've seen Bitcoin being in the very, very high fear and side of that index. And I think that's pretty well reflected here with this drop-off by the Dow Jones index. Now, I'll just go out there and say I didn't call this dump, but I did put a message out to some of my other peers that I communicate with on Telegram on the 24th of February when Bitcoin crossed the 50 exponential moving average, and basically just said, sorry, not Bitcoin, the Dow Jones. When the Dow Jones crossed the 50 exponential moving average, I said to these guys, look, this is not looking very nice. This is very unfavourable conditions. Once the DJI is below the 50 exponential moving average, it's not looking amazing. And you can see that was all the way back here. The 24th was this candle here, up at about 28,500. And since we crossed that 50 exponential moving average, let's just put it on so you can see it. There we go. There's our 50 exponential moving average. So as you can see, we opened below it, and that was immediately cause for concern for me. So I let other people know and said, look, just keep an eye on this because it really doesn't look very favourable. But as of right now, from that point, down 18.3%, but we have been as low as 25% down from there. This is crazy times. Let's see what happens on Monday. Let's see if we get back above this resistance zone. And I'm going to go again cautiously and say, if trading volume comes in really good and Monday's very bullish and we break this line, then I wouldn't be surprised if we see a even bigger increase day than we have done on Friday with this 9.3% increase. Because I think if a break of this resistance line, it will be followed up by some serious buying volume. However, I'm not convinced it's going to break this line. I think that we might see another bloody Monday. I think that we might see this get rejected and we could come back down to test the 21.7 level. But it's just unpredictable times. Even at times like this, you just cannot completely rely on technical analysis because all the factors that are affecting market conditions aren't simply technical. There are some real fear factors related here. You've got to remember that people close for margin calls, they take profits, they're trying to protect other positions, and all of these markets coexist and cooperate together. And you know, you can see these drops reflected across most markets right now. All right, now we will take a look at Bitcoin. Let's go on to the business end of the video and dive into Bitcoin. Now, when we were talking on Wednesday, I was highlighting this potential head and shoulders pattern. Let's just overlay it again so that you guys can see. In case you missed the video on Wednesday, I was saying, look, I'd be looking for my position was that I wanted to see support right here on this cross point between the support to potentially break up. Well, what happened? We broke the support, and wow, did we break it. And actually, I want to point this out to you people out there as well, that I find that these when I have the support lines crossing like this, it's often an area of interest for me. I know that it hasn't crossed exactly, it hasn't dropped down exactly on the cross, but whenever I see the convergence of two support lines, it is an area of focus. My worst case situation that I laid out on Wednesday, if the head and shoulders didn't play out, was a test of the high 4K. I thought 4.8K, this line down here, was going to be the worst case situation. I did, however, say I thought it was very unlikely, but I did say that there was a chance, and well, we did break through all of these key supports. And let's go down onto the 4-hour chart so we get a better view of what happened. So as we can see here on the 4-hour chart, we can see a little bit better of how these supports were broken, and you can see that we had this bear flag pattern up here that broke down, and once we broke through these key areas of support, you can see that the move really accelerated, and I myself was very surprised not to see 6,500 for any support here on the 4-hour time frame. You can see that it was just absolutely, and we came all the way back down and tested this bottom support line. I actually took a small position just below this support line, very low risk. I won't cry if it drops down any further. Didn't get in as low as I could have. You know, there were some people who would have, of course, bought Bitcoin down here at 3.8. I think it was somewhere closer to 4.45. I can't remember the exact number off my head. I think about 4.5 was the entry point. Again, like I said, slow, small, low risk, essentially a dollar cost average trade, if nothing else, was what I would consider it, just an open position. But yet to have any full confirmation that this support is going to hold. It's nice to see that we got closes above this line. I think that had we seen a close below it, things could have got really ugly really quick, although it did, but at least this long-term support held. Just for now. Once we go onto the 1-hour chart, I can show you something to keep an eye on a little bit closer. If we just put this descending resistance line into place, you could put it there. Maybe even you could extend it out to this candle wick here and have it a little bit steeper for slightly earlier confirmation. But there you go. That seems to have the most effective points of contact. So what am I looking for? Right, well, while I'm waiting to see this range break, I certainly wouldn't recommend leverage trading at this point. Of course, everyone has different risk and reward ratios. Standard, applies. But once we break this, either the long-term support or this downwards resistance, we're going to see some volatility and volume come back into the market, is my opinion. I think that if we break up above this line, then we go on to test the low 6. If we break through these sort of candle wick tops here at 6.2.5, then I think we see 6,500. Wouldn't be surprised to see some significant resistance here, if I'm honest. I wouldn't be surprised if we go up, hit this, and then come back down and retest this support line. But, it's just a case of putting these ranges in place, keeping an eye on them. If you choose to do so, you trade on the breakout. But be very aware that at such an uncertain time, any sort of leverage positions are like that are extremely risky. But that's what I'm going to be watching for. Remember, nothing I'm telling you here is financial advice. Don't, take it that way. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a dude on YouTube looking at the charts and giving you my own opinions. That being said, I hope you found some value in the content provided today. If you have, please slap a like on the video. That really helps. And remember to subscribe and comment to have a chance to win that CryptoTag Zeus starter kit. Let's hope to see the markets calm down a little bit and at least see some support. I'll be back on Monday where we will once again review the charts and we'll find out where this weekly close finishes. That'll be interesting to see tomorrow, to see where the weekly closes. Let's hope we close above this support line, and we'll be able to review that on Monday and see how things have gone. Until then, guys, bye.